What else? What else? Oh, and then the same thing with fats. Fats can be found in nature, right? Avocados can be found in nature. You know, and you know, I don't know that our ancestors ate meat, you know, but if you want to argue that, technically, meat can be found in nature, you know, that kind of fat. Egg whites can be found in nature. Egg yolks can be found in nature. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah. I hope I've covered everything. Because I didn't really give any answers to this other than feasibilities and hypotheticals. The main takeaway being, if you're doing intuitive eating, you may be able to eat whatever you want, right? To get full, with the exception of foods that contain salts, because that throws off your mechanism and makes it go haywire, and you don't know when you're full, and you just keep going and going and going because the salt in the food tastes so good because your body has evolved to crave salt. And perhaps it's been evolved to crave salt in such a way that it doesn't know how to stop craving salts to an extent, right? Unless, and over time, we've harvested salts through technological means that has not been in a way that it has not been available in nature, and therefore, if you eat salt in that way, when it's readily available, then you're going to keep eating and eating and eating it because your body craves the salt in the food. Even if you're full, if you're eating food with salt, your body still craves that salt. So even if your body's full and it's had its take, it's had its fill on carbohydrates or whole wheat pasta, if you then eat whole wheat pasta that's been laced with salt, you're probably going to want to keep eating and eating and eating because something about that tastes good, even though you can no longer eat any more plain whole wheat pasta and you're full and almost to the puking point. If you eat some more whole wheat pasta laced with salt, you're going to be able to get it down, you know what I'm saying, easily. And maybe that's why people get fat on our Western diet. Who knows? Right? Who knows? And, oh fuck, I've been talking for 15 minutes. Okay, we're done now. And one more thing to add to that, depending on how much your muscles may or may not be ripped, and how anabolic your body is at the moment, and essentially just how much protein you need. You know, be it us or our ancestors or, you know, our predecessors who were perhaps apes. Now, perhaps there's a certain amount of protein that you need, right? And your body will potentially keep eating until you hit that protein threshold or that protein requirement is what I mean to say, because you need amino acids and protein in order to repair the muscle and complete muscle protein synthesis, etc. So maybe if you've already eaten a whole bunch of carbs and more than what you need to fill your glycogen tank up, and more fats than you need to fill your ketones in with the glycogen, maybe they share a tank, you know. But you're still you haven't hit your protein requirement for the day. Your body probably knows how much protein you need to complete muscle protein synthesis. And for some reason, your foods have been so low in protein and high in carbs and fats, like avocados or whatever. We're just assuming you're eating foods in nature, that you're primitive ape. And, let's assume that's the case. Well, you might still be hungry because you need more protein, so your body might, even though you've got enough glycogen and your tank is filled up and your ketones are filled up and you've hit your calorie threshold, your calorie requirement for the day, maybe you're still hungry, so you're going to keep eating foods that are high in carbs because there's a little bit of protein still in there, and your body needs those proteins and amino acids. So you're not going to feel full until you get the proteins. So essentially you're eating more and more food, and to get that little bit of protein out of it, you're also taking in an abundance of carbs that you don't need. And your body knows that, but it still knows how important the protein is to complete muscle protein synthesis. So what it's doing is it's going to take those extra carbs and fats and store them as fatty tissue. It's going to take those carbs, convert them to fat because there's nowhere else to put them. The glycogen's full up, so it's going to store them as fat. It's going to take the extra fats. There's nowhere else to put extra ketones because those are also going to be stored in the liver and the muscle, possibly with the glycogen. Maybe they're sharing space, you know what I mean, like a co-op apartment. And maybe, so the fat's going to be stored directly as fat. The carbs are going to be converted and stored as fat. And your body will go on like that until it's gotten enough protein, unless you find a great source of protein that has no carbs or fat in it, and then it'll just eat that and say, okay, we're done. We're not going to get fat. But that's something to think about. Maybe you keep eating because either you need to, maybe you keep eating because you need to hit that protein requirement, of course. And then there's the debate that I discussed earlier about your food being perverted with salt. So those could be two reasons why people get fat, even though they're intuitively eating and doing what their body tells them to do. And this might be a slow process that occurs over time. You get fatter and fatter over time slowly. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you could recomp, like an athlete who burns through tons of calories. Maybe they hit their protein requirement because they're burning through so many calories, and it's easy for them, to just keep eating and then burn off all the carbs, and your body might just naturally hold on to the proteins in the muscle, because it knows that it needs those for muscle protein synthesis. And if you're burning that many calories and your body's storing the protein and just burning the fats and the carbs, and then eventually you get enough to eat, kind of like how Michael Phelps is said to eat between 10 and 15,000 calories a day and not get fat, and in some cases lose weight, lose fat, and continue recomping. Maybe that's the story behind that, but that's a story for another day. I gotta go now, and you have a great one.